And welcome back to another episode of the MDCP podcast, our Million Dollar Coach program. Joined today by Ash, who's been my faithful cohort for the last few weeks. But today we welcome back Sam, back from his little new baby sabbatical.
Mm-hmm.
How is baby Jamie going?
Baby Jamie's awesome.
Yeah.
He's like doubled in weight in like 4 weeks. So he
Gains.
he was like
Right.
he was really small.
Yeah.
He was like 5 and change, and now he's like 9 and change.
Yeah, nice.
So just putting away the groceries, killing it.
Jeez,
Well,
that's big.
Yeah.
That's going to be the big future for Katie. I hope she's got her head around that with 3 boys in the house. Like, just hollow legs, all 3 of you will happen between Noah, Jamie, and you.
Well, so growing up, my family was my father, my brother, and I, and my poor mother. You know, she understands explicitly what it's like growing up with 2 boys, and she's just laughing now, looking at the situation. So
she's like, "No, my grocery bill now."
Yeah, for real.
Perfect. Well, we are excited to have you back in the hot seat. No doubt you'll bring some all that 4 or 5 weeks of pent up energy that you'll have for podcasting fire and throwing gas on the fire. So it'll be good. And Ash and I can excited. just relax and kick back this week. Ash, what do you think? We'll just let Sam take it.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear a Sam rant again.
I was listening to the professional coach episode where it's like, nah, we're not going to have Sam back. It's like, those
that was just a test to see if you were listening. We were just testing to see if you were listening, Sam. That was your homework while you were away. So there you go. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we thought we'd just slide that one in there. That was nice. I'd forgotten about that, actually. All right. But let's talk all things MDCP and helping coaches grow in the ecosystem, have sustainable careers and lifestyles. But one thing that, it's probably might be a little bit soapboxy today, so buckle up, kids, is that I wanted to touch on, and something I've noticed is inconsistent, I guess, is the fact that coaches can be very reluctant to invest in getting coaching for themselves for, a variety of reasons, but they kind of think, well, I'm the coach now. I've got my L1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll tell their clients the value of having a coach, but they themselves are not having a coach to progress their own development and not willing to invest in it, because usually when they reach out to somebody about some coach development, they kind of expect that, well, I've got my L1, like, you should just be doing this for me for free.
Right.
Now, we know our old adage, those who pay attention, which is very true. But let's talk in that space about and I'll say we as coaches, as humans, like, why do we think that that's such an issue that either don't think that they need to seek professional development or think it stops with whatever the latest CrossFit branded cert is or specialty course or level is, and that's enough. The floor is yours, my friends. Sam's like, let me go.
I'm waiting. I'm being
something
patient.
in before Sam goes off, because you said something interesting. Because you mentioned, I have my level 1, whatever, 2 through 4 or specialty courses, but it's interesting because I've even heard coaches say, I don't need to take the gymnastics course because I can already do all the gymnastics. And to me, I'm like, ooh, but no. Like, can you translate that to the members? Do you know like 10 different ways to teach, see, and correct that? Like, and spot it and do all the things that the gymnastics course teaches us. So it sometimes isn't even about like hiring a coach, which I know is more what we're talking about on the bigger picture level of like a regular coach. But even those courses, some people think, I'm good at lifting, I don't need Bergener. I'm good at this, I don't need. But it's kind of like, Sam took the gymnastics course 50 times because he was stalking Tony. I only took it 3 times, but at each of those times, I learned something more from the same exact course because it was a different person. And like, again, we've talked about that value of, you might say, in the squat, knees out, hips back, and like, and then somebody goes, "Oh, my knees have to go out." And you're like, really? 6 years later, 3 times a day? Like, okay, great. Glad you got it. But like, again, the coaching never stops on both ends. So I just want to throw that tidbit in there. I know we've touched on that again a lot, but you never know who it might strike this time. So,
well,
with that,
when we're talking about, people aspiring to make, and we don't say the term $1 million coach lightly. We're talking about 6-figure coaches because we know it's possible. Yeah. Like, we know people and have, seen many examples of where it's happening, and it's something that we're all working towards as well. Like, we know that you can make a sustainable living from coaching.
Yes.
So, we don't say that lightly, and that's why we do repeat on some of these important factors. It's like, the answer to life lies in the cliches, and it's, some of those things are right in front of you that we preach to our clients every day. But, if someone comes to you and says, "Oh, I keep struggling with this over and over and over," well, get a coach. I can help you. Okay, well, why are you always bemoaning that you have, you're trading time for money, you're exhausted, you can't pay the bills, you might have to give coaching away. Have you thought about getting a coach that can help you with that? And then it's just a complete shutdown. So yeah, it is that tricky little space.
I think there's so much here. There's so much here.
Sam's just gonna explode.
No,
where to start?
I mean, yes, but also, like, I'm gonna try to make it logical and tolerable. I think that part of the heart of this is people confuse training and coaching. Where training is the conveyance of information and coaching is the understanding of human behavior. So when we talk about those terms in the same way that old Greg Glassman story, if we're going to go out and count butterflies, we better agree on what a butterfly is, right? When we talk about coaching, we're not talking about what you think you do in a CrossFit class. I don't know what you do when you run a CrossFit class because I've not observed you run a class. But I would say the number of people who have an affiliate t-shirt with the word coach printed on it is much higher than the number of people who actually coach, as defined by making an understandable or understanding and making a change in behavior versus conveying information, right? So in that sense, I can see the barrier because someone can say, well, why would I get a coach when I can just listen to a podcast, or I can go search on the internet or watch a video, where what you are getting is functionally the same thing. You're getting information conveyed at you. They don't understand what coaching is. And so they think that they coach and they think that what they do is coaching. And so why would I pay someone else to just do what I could do? And what's funny about that is, in a roundabout way, they're invalidating what they do. Because if you think, well, I'm not going to pay someone to go, tell me things I could learn on my own. And if what you are doing is saying, I'm standing at the front of the room and I'm leading these people through this thing, but they could probably learn it on their own, like, you've kind of negated the need for yourself to a certain extent. And that's, you could, argue that yes or no. I think another thing is people have a huge disconnect in, we talk about trading time for money, right? That's a real thing. Like, I have very little money and I have literally every hour of my day allotted to trying to get more of that money. And so that money is very valuable to me. Why would I want to give you some of that money? Right? Like, it's very hard to understand a leap in, it's very hard to visualize a leap in understanding that is a whole order of magnitude more than where you're currently at. For example, if I told you, I'm going to teach you something, I'm not only going to teach you something, I'm going to help you understand where you are and how to get from where you are to this new place that you could be. And it's going to cost you $5,000. You're going to be like, holy hell. Say, what? No way. But on the back end of that, after you give me $5,000, you're going to have the ability and the knowledge and the understanding to make $50,000. Then spending $5,000 to make $50,000 is kind of a no-brainer. But if the person who is, and this is a monetary example, obviously, if the person who is providing the coaching doesn't understand how to communicate that value, the person who is getting the coaching never sees it. And so it's very hard for them to say, this is a worthwhile investment, right? And now we come back to one of the central issues where it's like, cool, we can teach people how to be better, but what's the real world transactional difference in their lives? Like, if I invest, and I have invested in some fantastic true blue coaching from some of the best people in the world, and small portions of that I have been able to leverage into, say, greater revenue, and only in the last couple years, right? Because I had to fill in some other knowledge gaps to be able to do that. If you could, if Best Hour of Their Day or CDP or Berkner said, hey, we're going to teach you how to, cat
I was
tail.
like, what is that? It looked like a rat.
Yeah, cat butt. It's my cat. If one of these groups said, hey, we're going to teach you, how to coach gymnastics or how to coach the snatch better, and you'll make $10,000 more, they would have people signing up out the wazoo.
Right.
But now we come to that's the missing gap. That's the missing piece of education in our community. And hence why we're here talking about this whole thing.
And I think it's understanding the power of having, you said there, Sam, I could go and learn it from a podcast, which is, all power to podcasts. We want people to listen to ours. Please like, subscribe, follow, do all the things. But
call to action.
What you'll get, subtle, what you're getting is a generic overview. We don't scratch the surface. So we do scratch the circus. We don't just scratch the surface, and nothing is you'll take a little piece and maybe this or that. But imagine if you had a coach working with you on your specific project, for your specific goals and needs, and therefore you're developing your own solutions and having in-depth conversations about your behaviors. Because I know I have listened to 1 million hours of podcasting by this time in my life. And when I was an affiliate owner, that was my commute, is listening to, I think one of the first ones I listened to was Barbell Shrugged. And I would listen to things and go, oh, yeah, I bet that could work. Because I was always I can't afford a business coach, so I'm just going to make the most of free resources. So I would go, oh, yeah, gift cards. Yeah, well, how would that work here? And how do I scale it down? And I had to figure out all this stuff. Imagine how much forward traction I had when I could discuss it with somebody sitting across the table from me going, well, here's my unique situation, and here's why I keep getting stuck at this point, who will turn around and ask you, well, why do you stop taking action when it's been working well? Or when something's working well, why are you changing course? Why do you believe that about yourself? Or understanding the behaviors leading to an epiphany of sorts. And then you're like, change course, take greater action, rather than dot points, which I then have to try and manipulate to fit into what I need it to do or what I think it might want to do. We talk about trading time for money and how coaching, we do it for our members. It helps them compress time. Everybody can eat more broccoli, drink more water, do a few squats, but that's not going to get you to your body composition goals as fast as maybe going to a class, having someone teach you, coach you, getting a trainer, whatever it is that you need to do, we compress time. So as a professional coach, if we can compress time, does that not give you freedom of time to create revenue potential because you've got to a solution faster?
Well, and it's kind of like training. There's nothing stopping anybody from pulling a Ben Smith and watching, Olympic weightlifting videos on your phone and then filming yourself doing the snatch and trying to figure out the difference between the two, which is what he did. And like, all power to Ben Smith, who has leveraged this into 10 plus years of steady CrossFit Games appearances. Like, homie took the hard path. And it's one thing when you can do that and you love it and you want to be doing that. It's another thing entirely when, and I know some of the position of some of the coaches that we deal with, like, they are burnt. They have, several years of burning the candle at both ends and
trauma.
They just, like trauma, like straight up trauma, and like not seeing a way out of the cycle. And when you're that deep in it, it's really hard to be like, okay, I'm going to get creative. I'm going to think my way out of this box. There are some people who can do that. And I don't want to like write those people off, like more power to you, but like I needed help. I needed someone to like help me understand what I didn't understand. Pulling up Rumsfeld, the unknown unknowns. Like I needed someone to help me. To your point about the gift cards, it's like, okay, well, I could do the gift cards, but like, and you're like, well, this is why it's not working. I don't know why it's not working. I had to describe the situation to another person and then be like, oh, have you thought about this? And I was like, no, I haven't thought about that at all.
You thought about actually handing them out? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, and when we talk about compressing actions, or rather compressing time, the virtue of a coach, in the same way that like one-on-one personal training, true one-on-one coaching is, here's the thing that you are bad at. Like you could snatch great. Like say you could snatch your body weight. That's a huge win, right? If you want to get better at the snatch, okay, body weight's a great place to start. Relative to what you are doing currently, here are some things we need to change. None of those things are things that you can learn watching a video, listening to a podcast, because you don't have the self-awareness to be able to assess where you are and learn what you're not doing that's going to get you to where you want to be, if any of that makes sense.
It's having those external eyes.
Yes. Like having that extra brain power, that second set of eyes to provide you with clarity.
Particularly when we're really good as humans at listening to our own bullshit and making it up and making ourselves feel better. Like we are the ultimate self-soothers, and we're taught that from babies. Is like, cry yourself to sleep, make yourself feel better. Like, and many coaches unfortunately probably do cry themselves to sleep. But, if I were to watch a video of Coach B teaching the snatch, I would go turn myself inside out, thinking I needed to do all those things to make it better. When in fact, if I had a coach looking at me, they're like, just narrow your feet, dude.
Yeah.
And not necessarily a coach is in the context of what we're talking about, behavioral coaching, and we certainly is not going to tell you what to do, but it's like, is that a comfortable position for you? Why are your feet so wide? Oh, well, my hips hurt. Or, okay, now we're getting to the actual issue of, well, maybe let's do some mobility stuff.
Yeah.
Not just, oh, Coach B said my feet need to be here and my knees need to be here. And suddenly I've turned myself inside out from watching this video where I've spent an hour on things that could have been fixed with very simple cue or a question about, why are your feet so narrow? I don't know. Just always stood this way?
Yeah. Why did you choose to do that with your time? I don't know. Maybe you want to explore that.
Is there something else that could be better? And it's having the power of that. But I guess what I wanted to dig into today is like, why do we not want to do that as coaches? Like, why is it just well, I'm a coach now, so I guess I have the answers, so I don't need to learn anything else? Or it's beneath them to feel like that they have a coach for some reason.
You just answered your own question.
Do that a lot. And they're great team meetings too, by the way.
There's probably a number of reasons, right? I mean, being vulnerable enough to know that you need help is doesn't mean you can't help others.
Yep.
Right. I know I've been stuck in that, like place of thinking. And not even place of thinking, but sometimes you don't even realize that you're not asking for help until you're at that point and you're like, well, I've done this to get help and this. And you're like, yeah, but you didn't say like, this is where I'm at. And I can't do anything else. Like, so you didn't really get it. And it's like, so there's might be a little bit of that. I'm sure some people with the egos of like, no, I have all the certs, so I don't need it. And then, there could be well, I can figure this out by reading and by listening and by doing more things, right? More courses and more this and that.
Yep.
So it's probably, I mean, it's a number of reasons. They're all out there. It's kind of like pick your poison.
But Sam mentioned before about people being burnt out. It's like, and it's a dumpster fire. How much easier is it to fix someone's, say, let's stick with our snatch analogy, to fix poor technique on day one and not let it become a thing, rather than you've got 5 years of terrible movement go, okay, this is going to take us a while to unpack. And it's a lot more of an expensive process for the person who needs the coaching. And it's going to be a lot more hard work versus let's set off on the right foot from the get-go. Let's move forward, and do it as well as we can the first time before you get to that point of burnout.
Right. And I think, to be clear, I think the issue with burnout is we get a case of the fuckets. Like, instead of being like, wow, that person has a train wreck snatch, because the not burnt out coach is like, okay, there's a train wreck snatch. This is going to take some time. The burnt out coach is going to say, that's the way that person snatches.
Yeah.
Or air squats or insert movement here.
Yeah.
I love the idea of getting off on the right foot. I think part of the issue is determining whose foot is the right foot, and there are a handful of resources in the community that purport to make you better at X, Y, or Z. If we leave aside things like movement, so like, there are a whole bunch of Instagram pages and, certification courses and blah, blah, blah around movement. There are a lot less when it comes to business acumen. And I think the ones that we have inside of the CrossFit space, like certified, approved providers and stuff like that, until very recently, we've been pretty limited. And what you get cannot always be called coaching. And
they kind of prey on the vulnerabilities of like,
I don't want to even assume that. Like, sure, it's certainly possible that that's part of the deal. But like,
but I mean, it's maybe even not consciously, but it's that whole, what's the quickest way to get people to engage and take action? What do people want most? Money. Okay, I can get you 50 more leads. I can get you 50 more clients.
Right.
And people go, oh, that's the blue pill. I'm going to take the blue pill.
Right.
And that's going to solve my problem.
Right. Well, and, hey, leads are great. Leads are fantastic. But if your conversion sucks, then you're not, like, there's another lever we can pull here, right? Yeah. I think that, I think leads are easy. And I say that as a guy who is king shit automation man, where like, I can't find a system to automate lead gen. And this is a little bit verging into like affiliate ownership. And so like, this might not apply for something like, a coach who exists inside of an affiliate environment. But like, affiliate owners are worried about lead gen because they want to know when they're like where those new members are coming from. And if you're a coach inside of that environment, I can't say this enough. You know how to solve your problem. You know how to coach. What you don't know is how to understand the value of what you do and how to communicate that value. And if you can find someone else who is talking about the value of what you do and how to communicate that value and how to turn the communicating of that value into more money that goes into your pocket, fucking listen to them, because we're trying, and like that's the thing that we're talking about here. To shortcut to like anybody who's listening to this podcast, we call it the $1 Million Coach Project. The $1 Million Coach Program. And to Lisa's point earlier, 6 figures is like an amazing goal for any coach and should be, a goal, especially if you've been in this for several years, and especially if you've, ascended through the ranks and you've got your level 2 and you've got your level 3, you're thinking about that level 4. That doesn't happen by accident. You've put time and energy into this. But across none of the services that have been provided thus far has someone said, this is the true blue value of the skills that you possess. Like, and when I say value, I'm not just talking like, to your affiliate owner who needs someone who stand at the front of the room and call reps. Like, you can change lives. You can move mountains with human beings. How many people understand and then believe that? I think that number is way too small.
And we need more.
Oh my God, we don't need less.
Yeah, we definitely need more.
For sure.
It's understanding that, and I think that coaches and, affiliate owners confuse when someone offers them, oh, I can give you 50 new leads. Their brain converts that in business talk to 50 new clients. It's like, no. It's that they're only promising you, and it could be, Peter in Uzbekistan who clicked on a post is now a lead. It's like, well, we got you 50 leads. We didn't say that they were going to be good. But in your brain, it's like, but you said 50 new clients. It's like, no. And it's, people want solutions, and, as humans, we seek comfort. We don't, and it's not until the pain of change becomes almost less than the pain of staying where we're at, that we finally decide to take some action.
To be clear, not almost less. Less. Yeah.
Like, but I was trying to soften it for them. I shouldn't be harsh today.
Don't. Like, because
nice.
When they're about even, you can still lie to yourself and be like, oh, okay, I can still stick here for a little bit longer.
I'm okay. But you feel that, don't necessarily have that drive to go, okay, things need to change, and why am I not living to my potential? I chose coaching, or coaching chose me.
Right.
And this is what I'm genuinely born to do.
Okay.
So why am I not living to my potential and serving the right people in the right way, in a way that affords me a life and freedom, rather than, being a martyr stuck up on the timber cross and just going, it's hanging out here because, it's not about the money. It's just hard to get people to understand why, like, you took the leap, Ash, you took the leap, I took the leap. But we're a very small percentage of people that in the coaching space that actually will say, no, I want more, but I realize to get more and to be more, I need help.
Well, and you said something very interesting. You said, you said, I want to be a coach, or I was called to be a coach, and I'm doing the most that I can, or I'm being the most that I can. Maybe you are. Maybe you've reached your limit, right? And like, and this is where we start talking about, like, you don't understand what you don't understand. Like, what so many trainers experience at the affiliate level, they think is the ceiling. Like, that's as high as it gets. And the only thing that they think exists beyond that is seminar staff or owning an affiliate. And they're like, well, one of those has got to like solve this problem. Like none of them solve that problem. And so like, if you don't understand how to, again, understand the value of what you're doing and then communicate that value into something that is going to be actionable in a way that like moves the needle, you don't get that by becoming an affiliate owner or going to seminar staff. Like, hang on, my brain is breaking. Like,
well,
go ahead.
There's no end goal, right? With coaching, it's always evolving. There's always questions to ask. There's always deeper to dig, whether it is in movement in the snatch or it is in helping someone become a full-time professional coach to make a living or to be $1 million coach. And there's where there's courses and seminars and teaching and training and lessons that will say, take this 5-week blah, take this 12-month so-and-so, and you go through these steps and then there's a done point. With coaching, it's not like, oh yes, we'll do ABC and then you'll be done your coaching.
Yeah.
It's not. So I think that's where people get.
I mean, we tell it to our members all the time, isn't it? There's fitness is not an end state. If there was an end state of being fit enough, pretty sure Tia would have retired after 1 year, and as would have Rich instead of going for another 10.
Yeah.
Do they not continuously make improvements? Like, fitness is not an end state. And we say that to members. It's an ongoing process that you think, oh, I've got this thing nailed. So then you increase your intensity and next thing you're like, whoa, like just got schooled again.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the coaching. You're absolutely right, Ash. There's no end state to learning and the questions that you can ask and the areas that you can refine and dig into.
Well, and maybe the thing that people are not aware of is the fact that at some point we're no longer talking about coaching as people inside of the space know it. We're not talking about cues and corrections. We're not talking about, understanding the mechanics of the snatch or the virtues of strict versus kipping. What we're talking about is you don't understand how business works. And you don't understand that if you want to progress to another level, you have to be a coach and an entrepreneur or a small business owner or something. Because, and this is the point of the $1 Million Coach program, is getting you, the professional coach, to understand that you possess the tools. What you have not been given yet is the understanding and know-how to engage those tools in a manner that leads you to the life that you want. And when I say the life that you want, for so many people, I'm just talking about one that allows me to continue to keep coaching, where like I don't have to give up coaching and go get a real job. And I a little bit behind the curtain on my own life, like I had that discussion with a good friend of mine who's a very high level coach recently. And this person was like, my partner and I, we want to have kids and I can't have a kid on a coach's salary. And I was like, you're kidding me, right? And I hired this coach to work with me, and watching the switch flip inside of this coach's head. And now this coach is like, holy hell, like I can continue to be a coach and be a coach at a more effective level. And I can make a level of income that will support my family. And it's night and day. This person 3 months ago versus where they are now. And the difference is knowledge and being coached, And
I think that, it's having that, that switch flicked where you're like, oh, like I have the power to create my own revenue schedule. I just had a chat to a client like not an hour ago going, aren't you in charge of that scheduling? Like, why don't you make that work for you? It's like, oh, yeah, why not?
Problem.
Yeah. And but I mean, when I transitioned out of the affiliate, I clearly remember people said, but I thought you loved being a coach. And I went, yeah, but now I can help more people at scale.
Yeah.
Because if I help 5 affiliate owners run amazing businesses, or I help, 5 coaches, stay in the game and help more people, then that potentially I could help 1,000 people get better lives through CrossFit, rather than the 80 to 100 people in front of me on the floor who I love dearly. But this allows me to coach at scale.
Yes.
And not investing 80 hours a week to do that. Like it's a much smaller investment, and it's giving me that freedom. I'm still coaching. I'm still in CrossFit. I still love CrossFit, but it allows me to coach with more impact and scale, which when you get into behavioral coaching and you understand that, for movement cues, it's fine out. There's only so many ways you can tell somebody to stick their knees out or get their chest up, or that they're even going to have a capacity to implement that. But as a behavioral coach, the questions are infinite. The nuances around the questions are infinite, and the answers that people will come up with will probably just lead to more questions. And it's, a far more powerful conversation to be having. There's no end to that.
Well, and I think that and don't get me wrong, like I know some amazing technical coaches, people who are literally the best in the world at teaching, seeing, and correcting. But the ceiling that their impact can have is fixed.
Yep.
It's number of people in a class, number of classes in a day. Never gets bigger than that, right? And so that's one part of the equation of how do I quantify my results as a professional coach, right? Like if you come and you work with us, I'm not going to teach you how to teach, see, and correct. Anybody here will tell you that you want to call a red shirt. You want to go hire Denise Thomas and like go work with the CDP. She's a genius. Go. She's the best in the world at that, right? If you want to understand how to take the 25 hours a week that you're coaching for $25,000 a year and turn that into something that is going to generate more revenue so that you can do X, whatever X is, you get to define X. And it might be something relating to coaching. It might be something totally different. I want the freedom to be able to send my kid to private school. I want the freedom to have a nanny. These are kid things that are on my brain because in total dad mode. I want to be able to take a vacation and go to someplace different once a year. I want to be able to take care of my parent. They're, they're older and they're going to need some medical assistance. Like insert X, Y, or Z, whatever it is. That's where the work that we do here, working with professional coaches, getting you to understand the power that you already possess and flip that switch in your brain. That is what we do. And I mean, speaking only for myself, having that having that switch flipped and seeing the impact that it can have in my own life and how I've been able to totally change my coaching model and generate a level of revenue that I did not think was possible. And now it's led me to the point where I get to help other coaches do that same thing. And I can hire other coaches and increase their awareness and increase their level of revenue, and they're affecting more people. Like this is a position I never thought I would find myself in. And I never would have gotten here without a coach to help me understand.
And I think that, our goal on the podcast is to give people value and give them something that they can listen to the episode and go and take action on. And clearly, one of the things that they can do is reach out for a consult, and we can see where you're at in your coaching journey and see if you're a good fit, and we can help.
Yes.
And about getting coached. But if that feels too vulnerable and exposing, we offer the $1 Million Coach program in an online course.
Yes.
That you can do in the privacy of your own home, where nobody's looking, and you don't have to tell people, I'm getting help to be a better coach.
You don't have to share any personal details.
Don't have to share any personal details. We just need your name. You're going to follow the course, and you're going to do it. And at the end of it, you're either going to come out of it and go, I need coaching, or you're going to be self-directed enough to take action on the knowledge that you're provided with and implement the pillars and the mindset mandates, and everything that you need is laid out. It's a blueprint. You just go take action will be the big thing. Is you actually reading it and listening to it, probably not going to do much for you.
Right.
Which is the power of the coach, is going to, that deeper coaching relationship, going to give you that accountability. Is like, did you do the things this week that you said you're going to do? No. Okay. Let's talk about that. Why? Right. What stopped you? Why, why do we keep repeating these same patterns? But at a bare minimum, there is a resource there that we can direct you to that is very, provides high value, is a low barrier to entry, and you can get those skills and resources that we talk about in greater depth.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting there now going, oh, I don't know, I don't want to go and ask for help, it feels weird. Cool. We've got that sorted. We can square your way with an online program, which I guarantee you it's not going to give you 50 more leads.
Nope.
But it is going to open your eyes to a whole world of stuff that you thought you knew but didn't know, and lead you to ask more questions and want to grow more.
Also want to be clear, it is not going to absolve you in any way of any kind of responsibility. You're still going to have to do shit.
You will have to take the actions. Like we've laid it out.
You're not going to get a certificate and be like, cool, here's my bonus 25 grand. It's not the way shit works. It's
exactly. I mean, and Sam, you probably, hopefully you won't mind, but I'll throw you under the bus. But
here we go.
He's like, why did I come back?
Son of
but you had been through the course, and we, as your coach, had looked at, getting something going for you that was yours. And we talked about things, and here are your to-dos, here are your things. And there was a lack of action initially.
Mm-hmm.
And, you were, Ash is like, don't look at me, don't look at me, don't look at me. But there was a distinct lack of action. But you were, and, I've been guilty of it as well, until you get to that point where you're like, oh, I actually need to pull the trigger on something. I can set up all the frameworks and do all the spreadsheets and the templates. But what am I doing to actually implement these things I now know? And as soon as you start to do that, immediate wins. Bang.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like having some of that stuff done on the front end did save me work on the back end.
Yes.
But it didn't get me any closer to a close. And you can't. There's some work that is important and will serve a client. There is some work, though, that is actually trying to find and serve a client. And we should not confuse the two. Like, I can design the best program and system in the world to serve hypothetical clients. But at some point, I'm going to have to talk to people. Yeah, I'm going to have to get a client. Like, and there's a process to getting a client. And like, there are ethical ways to go about that. And it's everything before that is fine to talk about and do, but it doesn't move the needle in a way something like that does.
And we can often, as Tony has talked about, his favorite word is taskimation. And it's, creating all these things to do so you feel like you're actually doing something. And at the end, there's no happy ending, that's for sure. And you do
Whoa.
it in the privacy of your own home. And I'm really busy. I'm doing all
I
these
know.
things, but what's at the end point of that? Like, what's it do? Like, it's, so you're right. There needs to be action, but there needs to be productive action, not just creating things for the sake of it.
Well, and coming back to your point about, being able to lie to ourselves, the human being is the best person in the world when it comes to self-deception. Like, part of the problem with task-urbation in this particular sense is like, you can fill a to-do list and check mark and this becomes multiple tasks and check mark. And, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And when you've got someone looking over your shoulder to be like, all of that's great. I'm glad you did that. Did you have any sales discussions? Did you talk to any prospects? Did you close any calls? At some point, like as a professional, so it's a very narrow example, as a professional coach trying to expand personal training services, at some point you're going to have to consult with some individual human beings. It's going to look an awful lot like a sales call. No matter how you feel about that particular phrase, kind of is what it is. So if I design the world's best program and I go test, check, all that's great. But I still need the people, and I needed a coach to be like, yeah, great. Call the people and talk to the humans.
Tell the people what you do. Ask. I mean, I was having a conversation with a client earlier, and it was very much about, okay, you've got all these reasons why these things haven't happened and this isn't working. Here are the 3 things that you should be thinking of right now. Yeah. How do I get the people who already want to pay me to pay me? Yeah. So how do I get money in? And then how do I start the process with them? Yeah. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than I've got a Google sheet. You've paid me. Let's get on a call.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't need all the other things just yet.
Well, and I joked about the call to action bit. I was listening to a presentation where I won't give this guy's name. This guy has started and sold multiple multi-million-dollar businesses. And he was like, for the love of God, in all of your content marketing needs to be a call to action. And it's not one of those things where it's not a cheesy sales bit or anything like that. Like, it's amazing. You could talk about how you have the best program in the world, but if never you say, here's how you find me, almost invariably people will not find you. And so you've got to do that thing.
As humans, we love to be told what to do, which is why we'll get you 50 new leads works well, because it's like you're giving me the answer.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing for your client, your potential clients, is like, tell them what you want them to do. Click this link and make an appointment with me.
Yeah.
Fill out this form and we can chat. Buy now. Like, we love that. Humans like to be told.
Yeah.
So why is it then as coaches, we don't have somebody to prompt us to take those actions? And that's been the endless struggle.
They have us.
They do. Well, that's right. That's why we're here. We've solved the problems today on the podcast. Thank you for coming to our TED Talk.
Exactly. For the love of God, book a call. We'll help solve your problem.
Yeah. And, your problem, your way.
Yeah.
Not a generic saying, oh, you're signing up for the $1 Million Coach program. Cool. Here's the template.
Yeah.
I want to be very clear that the $1 Million Coach program, whether you have coaching or you follow the online program, it's a system of skills, but it's not a template that if you do this, because you still have to create the things in your voice and your authentic way and your message to make sure that happens. It's not, here, post today on this topic. You must post 3 times a week about this, or post 3 reels or 3 shorts or this, and that. It's not that. It's about get your message. No. Yeah, that's I know, Sam.
Yeah.
I know.
There's a lot picked into there if you play it back real quick.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's we're not giving you the answer, but we're giving you the tools.
Yeah.
You can either continue to, and I don't know why this came into my head at like some ungodly hour through the night when I woke up for a glass of water, you can continue to bang the nail into the fence with your hand.
Yeah.
Or you could just go and get a hammer.
Yeah.
With that hammer. Book a call. Stop hurting your hand.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. It doesn't have to hurt for it to work. You don't have to suffer anymore.
Everybody wants to do making money fun things until it's time to do making money shit.
Yeah, and do the things, for sure. Yeah. Any closing thoughts, Ash, before we wrap this one up and send it out to the interwebs? No?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Good to have you back, Sam. It's good to have the three amigos back together again.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't sound right in my head when I said that. It's good. Good for the soul. Mm-hmm. Look forward to the next one. We've got some exciting guests coming up soon, so we won't give that away as spoilers. But the only way you're going to find out about those in advance is to follow us on Instagram, the $1 Million Coach Program, or our sister podcast, Fit Affiliate Podcast. Subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Throw us a like, throw us a comment. Otherwise, on your favorite platform, Apple or Spotify, give us a follow. Get notifications of the new episodes. Listen and take some action. Your life will be better for it. All right, team. I'll see you on the next one.